We're going to take a look now at Virtuoso QA's new Business Process Orchestration capability, which enables you to sequence journeys together or tests, as well as being able to do things like pass data between them. And this is particularly useful for when you're trying to do end-to-end testing of data-driven business systems. So firstly, let's look at the test that I have, and I'm testing Dynamics 365. Now I've got a series of tests where I want to be able to find out what accounts are available in Dynamics. Then I want to use those accounts to verify a specific account in the user interface. And then once verified, I want to be able to deactivate it. Now, if I put those into an execution planner, then I could put all the journeys into that execution plan. However, I wouldn't be able to determine what sequence I should run those in. In addition, I wouldn't be able to pass data between them. Whereas what I actually want to be able to do, when I look at my obtain active accounts, I'm going to run a test that will log into Dynamics, then it will make an API call to get a token, and then it's going to query available accounts within Dynamics and return those into the response of the API call. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to store the account name from that API call into a variable called account name. Next, when I come in and I want to verify my account details, again, I'm going to log into the user interface of Dynamics. And then when I come to verify, I want to use the account name that I found from the previous test to be able to validate that the account exists in Dynamics. And then lastly, once I've verified it, I then want to run a test to be able to deactivate that account, where again, I'll log in and I'm going to come in and pull out, based on the account name, that account and confirm that the deactivation has taken place. So the only way I can really do that is if I'm going to orchestrate the tests together and sequence them and be able to pass data between them. And that's exactly what the new Business Process Orchestration module allows. So we come into the sidebar into orchestration. I can then start a new orchestration, and I'm going to call this query, verify, and deactivate accounts. And then I'm just going to put that into the description here. Now note that within the Business Process Orchestration, this is where you will actually set up and run your orchestration sequences. So you won't use the execution planner, you'll use the orchestration module to run this, and as such we have settings so that you can specify, for example, which devices and operating systems you want to run this on. By default, I'm going to leave this as the Virtuoso Chrome browser. You can specify the environment you want to pull in. So I'm going to specify to use the dev environment that I've set up in my environments module. And then importantly, I can choose whether or not I want to share data between each of the steps or stages in the orchestrator. Whereas in this case, I want to do that. I want to pass the account name between different stages and tests within the orchestration. So with my orchestration settings set up, I'm going to save that. And now what we have a workflow builder, where if I enter into the edit mode, I can now see that I have a start node. And then what I can do is I can start adding in stages. So I've got my first stage, which is to query accounts. And then I could just put that into the description. And then basically I can start picking which journeys or goals I want to add into this. So I'm only going to add one journey into this, but you might have a whole series of journeys. For instance, you might have 6 journeys or tests that all set up different data, and therefore I could come in and choose they come from a goal. They might have a tag against them, maybe sort of you put a tag for data generation. In this case though, I'm going to specifically pick a journey, and I just want one, which is the obtaining the active accounts via the API. Now note that only published journeys will be available to put in here. Draft journeys you can't put into the orchestrator. I also have the ability to data drive. So if I had a particular journey which had a data table against it, then I could choose to select to have this data driven. This one isn't, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. With that done, I can now move on, and you'll see that the start node has connected into my query accounts. So now what I'm going to do is add the second stage, and this one is to verify accounts. And again, I'm going to paste that into my description. And again, I'm going to choose just one journey coming from my D365 goal, and that's going to be to verify the account in the UI. Now you'll notice that it's not connected to anywhere. So now what I can do, I could choose to drag and connect it up. So I'm going to start, run my query account stage, and only once that's completed will I then run the verify accounts stage. And I will be passing that account name between those stages. And then finally I can add my last stage, which is to deactivate accounts. And again, I'm going to paste in that as the description, choose my journey coming from the goal, which is going to be to deactivate. And again, then I'm going to tie that in so that runs after the verification. Now down here we have some ability to, we can zoom in or zoom out from the view. We can fit to the screen, so fit to size. And then we can also show the details of a stage. So you'll see if I expand that, it tells me which journeys I have in here. So I can just double check and see what's contained within each of those. And again, I can fit that to the screen. So that's really useful for being able to build out my workflow. I can see what's exactly in them. I can map together to make my sequences. Okay, and so from there, once I'm happy with my workflow, I can click on Update, which then creates the orchestration. And you'll see down here in the orchestration history, that puts an event, which means I've updated it, tells me who's done it. So I've got good audit control and history to see who's done what and when. I could re-edit that. So if I want to make changes, I can do so. I could come into the settings and change the settings of the orchestration. But then from here, I can immediately go, and by triggering the orchestration, that will start the orchestration running. And what that effectively does is it starts running all of the journeys. And that would be the same as an execution planner running, or if you're manually running a journey, where it will start running all of the journeys. And we can drill down here and we can see the journeys that are running, but those effectively will appear in the project activity. Then we can see that my journey is running, where it's going to go through and execute this, and it's going to do exactly what the test wants, log in, make an API call to get a token, then a second call to get the accounts, and then it will create my account name. Now we'll see back in the orchestrator that as we drill in to the orchestration and click on that, you'll see that it gives you a visual indicator so you can see that it's orange, so it's still pending, it's still running. And if we just refresh the screen, you can see now that it's showing me that this stage has passed, and the verify accounts, that's now running. And so what this gives you from a workflow perspective is a great indication from your business process as to which stages are running, which are passed. So you get a really easy view of quality across your business process. And again, you can drill into the orchestrator to see the journeys and get a view as to what's run, what's passed, what's failed, and so on. And then really importantly here, if we go across to the project activity, we can see that when I ran my journey to be able to obtain the account ID, it has stored O'Reilly Group in the account name variable. When I come back in now to the test that I was running, so the second one, which is to verify the account, you'll see that the orange data variable means that that's initial data that has been set by Virtuoso, and in this case it's taking it from the previous stage, and you can see that the value is O'Reilly Group. So it's taken that from the first journey, it's passed the data across. So we've done this successfully, we've verified the account that appears in Dynamics, and then finally what we're going to do is look at the final step, which is to deactivate that account. And again, you'll see that we've got the account name, which is in orange, and when that runs, we'll see that that is set from the previous stages. So it's using the same data across different journeys in a sequence to make sure they're run in the right order. And we'll see in just a second that we have again O'Reilly Group. So what I'm able to do is run a sequence of tests, get my statuses, so we can see in here the first two stages are passed. And then if we just refresh, we can now see for a particular execution, all my stages are passed. Again, I could just show the details to make sure what was run. So I've managed to sequence all of my journeys and pass data between them, and then get ability to run that orchestration and validate across an entire business workflow that's been sequenced the quality across that business process rather than looking at individual journeys.